Startuprad.io, your podcast and YouTube blog covering the German startup scene with news, interviews, and live events.
Welcome everybody, this is Joe from Startuprad.io, your startup podcast and YouTube blog from Germany, bringing you another special about COVID-19 in the widest sense from Startuprad.io from April 14th, 2020. Originally, I want to bring you a special podcast edition every week for COVID-19, but it turns out the entrepreneurs are busy and there's not a lot essential to tell each week. So I'll keep to it as long as there's something of essence to tell, and most likely next week I'll give you another update. For now, I do have a returning guest because here is also something in petto for startups struck by COVID-19. I would like to welcome Johannes again. You may remember him as the CEO and co-founder of CrowdDesk, a startup of the month we had earlier this year here. Welcome.
Hi, Jörn, and all the Startup Radio audience. Thanks for having me.
Completely our pleasure. For everybody who's watching this interview and sees a few glitches, we went through every imaginable glitch during our 40-minute setup time, from calls from family to problems with lighting to problems of jumping headset sounds, internet connection, everything. We just hope this one is going to be very good. Johannes, to wrap it up pretty briefly, we are both from the same area, Rheinhessen, very nice area here in Germany, not too far away from Frankfurt, approximately 1 hour by car. You founded CrowdDesk, which originally started out as a white labeling service for crowdfunding platforms, but we are now here today due to another product you guys have, right?
Sure. Yeah, we challenged ourselves what we can do in the current crisis, and how can we, as a small software development company, help with our software, help the struggling startups, the struggling companies in the region, in the crisis. Everybody's in it and everybody shares the same problem, and that's why we decided to reduce the price of one of our products to very low, and actually it's to zero, so that every company, every startup can make use of our it's called a CrowdDesk Starter product.
What type of service you're giving away?
Actually, it's pretty simple service. Sure, behind there's a lot of complexity, but our mission is to make that make that process look very easy. With us, every company that owns a website can include an Invest Now button on the website and start funding from their network, from their clients, from their customers, from family and friends. So everybody that wants to keep that company going, from a restaurant around the corner to actually startups. That's probably the reason why we are talking about what we are talking about. Because what they need for that is sure a website. Then they need our software that covers the whole funding process, all the legal stuff, and it needs contracts. And we even convinced our law firms that produces the contracts for each and every funding to give that contracts away for free. So the whole funding that normally costs a couple of €100 up to a couple of €1,000 is now totally for free for companies who are affected by the COVID-19 crisis.
Which is basically right now everybody, right?
Sure, there's very hard to distinguish between those who aren't and those who are. I think we all share the same fate at the moment. You're right.
So basically, to get this straight, there is a startup. It has a website. You have a little button, Invest Now. You put it on the website, and basically everybody who visits the website can click on the button, and basically they can start a crowdfunding campaign for the startup or participate in the crowdfunding campaign for the startup. And basically this is a debt instrument they are raising the startup, right?
Yeah, they are pretty. From the process you described is actually quite correct. The thing you do as a startup, you come to us, you 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 apply for that for the free version. Normally, who is affected, who isn't? Yeah, you're right. This is almost everyone. If that fulfills the criteria we set up, you can find that on our website, crowddesk.de/crowddesk versus Corona. That's how we call the campaign, Crowd versus Corona. And then you uh, get in contact with us. We set up the license for you. You include, or we give you the link to the Invest Now button. You include that on your website, and from that moment on, when somebody clicks on that button, they are in our software, and we make sure that this process of signing a contract between you as a startup and a lender is legally compliant, and that's very hard to do, but it looks easy in the end. You will see that, and the thing is that the contract that's behind this is also comes from our network, so that is totally fitting together, and there's no room for failure at the moment. What the startup has to do, it has to activate their own crowd, the network. So you gotta ask everybody, you gotta activate everybody you know, so that they know of your campaign, that they can help you, because I am very sure that a lot of people want to help you and your company, but they need to know that how and where they can help.
Everybody who is listening to this or watching this, go down here in the show notes. You'll not only find the LinkedIn profile of Johannes, but also link to the website talking about it's called Crowd versus Corona. You can raise up to 400,000 euros. You state there. What are the limitations in terms of legal framework, country, language?
We started with the German speaking, or with Germany, to be precise, because it depends on the legal framework you are in. The German country, or the German regulatory framework, is the most developed for our software. You can start up, as you said, you can go up to 400,000 euro, but you have to split that up in 100,000 emissions. That's just a legal constraints, thresholds, constraints that are set up by the government. So, for example, you can put up one emission with 100,000 with 4% in interest rate, the other one with 4.5 in interest rate, the other one with a maturity of 4 years and 5 years. So you can mix that up so that it totally fits to the capital you're seeking, and you don't have to go up to 100,000. You can stop at 50,000, but all in all the emissions have to stop at 400,000. And there's one thing I want to add, because Johan, you just mentioned that it's mostly debt. This is possible for sure. It's closer to debt than it's to equity, but actually it's like a mixed form of these two instruments. It's called mezzanine capital in most of the time. So it has some characteristics of of debt. So, for example, it has a maturity, an exact time and date when it has to be paid back. For example, in 5 years or 10 years, and it has a interest rate that can be very flexible, starting with 1%, going up to 15%, whatever fits to your risk profile. And you can add some instruments like bonus interest rates when the company is coming back very strong after the crisis, and when it makes new record revenues, it can increase the interest rate with that. So as you see, it's kind of in the middle of debt and equity, because when the company goes bankrupt, all this money is or the repayment of the money would not lead to an insolvency of the company. So that's the equity part of the cash that you raise through your campaign.
What I would be interested as an entrepreneur is if I raise this, and this could be like a bridge financing until I get into venture capital, until I can raise another round, or just pay the salaries of my employees, because 400,000 can go a long way. I would be interested. You need to give to the people who invest like supervisory board seats, something like that.
No, you don't have to do that. You can do that, sure. But most of the fundings I've seen, they don't think about that. Um, for most of the investors, they invest like small sums, starting with a couple of euros. You can go up to one investor can fill the whole 100,000. He might has more questions than somebody who gives only a couple of euros. But in reality, there is no such things than like board seats or something like that. What you have to do is you have to publish your statement, your legal statement every year, Jahresabschluss, at the website where you're funded with, but you have to do that anyway. So it's nothing special for you normally.
Meaning the balance sheet and the P&L usually, but in Germany you're still obliged to do that due to regulations, and it goes into Bundesanzeiger where everybody can basically search for it, so that's not a big thing. One more question. How much experience do you have with this investment tool? So how much money approximately has been raised by it?
To be honest, we just started the campaign, so the first campaigns will go online in a couple of days or in a couple of hours. So because the first campaigns the contracts for that were closed a couple of days ago. That is very fast, but I can't tell you. It's too far. I can't tell you any numbers at the moment. It's just too soon to tell.
But with a similar tool, some restaurants already raised money, if I'm informed correctly, right?
Sure. They didn't do that during a crisis, fortunately. Yeah, but just to give you some recent success stories, what you're referring to is a restaurant that funded 500,000 euros in a couple of weeks in Frankfurt. So that was all the money they were looking for. So there was a total hit. And just recently, another startup from Munich, they're building electric cars. It's called Sono Motors. They raised 2.5 million through their network. And even when you look at the whole crowdfunding campaign they did, they raised over 50 million at the moment, and the campaign is still running. So there is a lot of power in the market at the moment, because what we see and what we forecast is that the solidarity between the customers and the companies and the startups is very high. It's probably higher than you would expect, because in those times everybody knows that there is not enough revenue you're making. There's not enough cash in your account that you can just go on for a couple of months without making any revenue. That's Everybody understands that at the moment.
Sono Motors, did they use your tool as well?
Yes, they did. They did.
Congratulations. So basically, everybody would like to learn more, go down here in the show notes. I could only find the website in German, but I do assume it's just here. Hit the green button. Do you also have a website in English?
Yeah, you can switch from German to English when you there's a small flag on the right side of the logo when you go on the website. and then you can switch to English, because they made an European-wide campaign, because they are quite a bigger company. Yeah.
I see. As we said, this funding could be a bridge to your next venture capital funding. If I'm informed rightly, you guys are currently in a fundraising process as well. How did you feel the impact of COVID-19? Was it like from one moment to another, the investors just stopped returning calls?
Yeah, actually, once you started dealing with venture capital, you are always in funding mode, actually, because when you close the round, you have to look for the next round, and we try to keep up the relationship with all the venture capitalists, because when you come to them and the moment you need the money, yeah, everybody knows that's too late. So it's always better when you have an ongoing talk with them, and they can see that you are working good, that you are doing a good job, and that you are not coming panically to them. Okay, either you give us the money tomorrow, or yeah, we will out of business. That would not be very professional, and it would probably hurt our valuation in the end, because then you are under pressure. That's why we are in good conversations with them. And to be honest, it's quite hard for them and for the startups at the moment, because this is not big news, but there is a lot of uncertainty. And what I experienced, that most of the venture capitalists have to focus their time, and that's actually very close to their money, on their existing portfolio. So they can't look out for new deals so much as they did weeks before. They need to be they need to hand out cash. So some do it in kind of convertibles, and that's all distracting them from from making new business. And that's probably why it's very hard for when you start a campaign now, when you start raising money from venture capitalists, very pretty hard to get to them at the moment. On the other side, it's for the venture capitalists. They are raising money as well. So if you have just closed a round and you still have cash, you need to invest in the next couple of weeks or months. So it's always two sides of the story, because when you would delay your round as a startup now, and would probably come back to the market in August or September, it might happen to you that the venture capitalists, the venture capital funds that plan to invest in that area, just couldn't raise money for themselves. And so it might be like a domino effect, this crisis will come to the venture capital markets in a couple of months. That's very hard to tell, and might be better than some people expected, but that's what I heard so far.
Did you also experience that some investors want to push down the valuation of your company?
Um, Generally speaking, I've heard that some said, okay, it's easier for us when we want to negotiate. Some not we, but what I heard, some actively addressed that and said, okay, we want to work together for a couple of years, so we won't use that leverage at the moment to push down the valuation, because we see that the companies are healthy. That's just an exogenic shock, so nobody is it's not nobody's fault at the moment. But on the other side, I heard some investors say, yeah, you wouldn't buy the DAX 30 for 13,000 points at the moment, when it's devalued to 8 or 9,000 at the moment. So yeah, there might be some devaluation in the market. Um, Another strategy, what I heard, is that some startups just decrease their amount that they're looking for. So one VC told me that they advise their portfolio companies to reduce their current rounds to 50%. So they want to come back. Normally you raise for like 18 months. So they are only raising for 9 months because everybody hopes that in 9 months, probably the market will be back to normal and then the valuation will be higher so that you don't get if you can do that, is that they don't get the full hit on the valuation today.
We are always talking about preparing for scenarios to come out of COVID-19 again. As I know, forecasts are always troublesome, especially concerning the future. It's something, for example, Kurt Tucholsky said. The question is now, what type of scenarios are you guys preparing for right now?
What we did is that we made different scenarios. I think everybody does that at the moment. So we made some scenarios where the market is going flat, so there's probably no new revenue from new customers. Then we looked where is the current revenues, where are they coming from, what will happen to our customers if they get in trouble, what will that mean to our company. And then we made certain scenarios when there is a slightly increasing or a slightly back to normal in step by step. So we are preparing ourselves that we look closer than ever to our current numbers. So we check daily for how many visitors are on our website, how many leads coming in, how the customer's payment is the time frame increasing, in which time they are paying their what's the English word? The invoices, yes, sorry. What time frame they are paying the invoices. So we are very close at that. We're scrutinizing that very eagerly, and at the moment we are not seeing that this is there are no new shocking insights. Everybody looks quite normal at the moment, so we are pretty optimistic that this crisis will be over soon, and that we won't have taken too much damage in those times. Yeah.
Personal opinion, I would also do it like you guys do, like continue the bad times, better times, or really good times, where we hope everybody will experience very good times, a V-shaped turnaround again. And hopefully you guys too helps some startups to get to the next financing round. Everybody who'd like to learn more, go down here in the show notes. There'll be a link to your funding tool. It was a pleasure having you on even such a short notice. And as you guys realize, we both are already pretty tired. There are quite a lot of heavy packed working weeks right now.
Yeah, you can say that. But thanks for having me again.
Completely my pleasure. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye.
That's all, folks. Find more news, streams, events, and interviews at www.startuprad.io. Remember, sharing is caring.